Chapter 39, Dazzling Amounts, Pelicoin, and some other mysteries. A first warning. All characters in this book are fictional. All claims, regardless of the topic, are simply claims. Some are rooted in empirical facts, while others are pure fantasy. My goal is to balance between vision and reality, between fiction and fact, in such a way that the audience can relate and continue exploring the myriad of ideas and inventions. The book has no ambition to preach a grand purpose, but instead questions accepted truths. In this way, in a Socratic manner, it leaves the rest to the audience. The beautiful everyday life. The familiar rituals, the cyclical, the safe. Just as the moon surrounds the Earth in its orbit every day, as the Earth circles the Sun with astonishing precision. And the Sun, indeed the entire solar system, moves in a conical elliptical motion somewhere in the Milky Way. It may suggest that the entire universe spins around itself or orbits something we don't know. Is it so strange that we have routines, habits, and rituals on our calendars? Let's go back in time and talk about the three composers at Høgbro Square in downtown Oslo. It was these three men, plus a dean from the Norwegian church, who, incredibly, managed to collect enough money in a hat for an adventurous trip to Magdeburg. They had heard that some street musicians could earn good money. But the fact that the hat was overflowing came as a surprise. A kind of blessing from the Lord, according to the dean from the Norwegian church. One of the three composers, Walter, would later become one of Norway's, if not Europe's, best organists. He mastered all types of keyboards and became particularly famous for his incredibly complex yet beautiful improvisations, which later came to be called compositions, because they stood as finished works without unnecessary or necessary editing. Fix it, finish it, then release it on vinyl, CD, or streaming on the internet. Rarely has a Norwegian composer made so much money just playing wildly. Something that most agreed seemed utterly pointless until the money rang in the cash register. Surely this strange activity must have some meaning. This phenomenon, but with a different starting point, was the Holgersen family's sudden confrontation with an absurd wealth that landed smack in the middle of an ordinary social democratic home in a small town in Scandinavia. This led to further associations with the new financial phenomenon of the time, Pelicoin. Pelicoin was invented by a quantum mechanics student at the University of Seoul, South Korea. Not only was he highly educated in physics, but he also had a master's degree in music theory and literary history. A rare and broad education with many branches. He could be used for almost anything at a high level, and eventually, he ended up at the University of Trondheim in central Norway and found his wife in the research community there. Here, in beautiful Norway, right in the middle of the family establishment phase, he began to take an interest in cryptocurrency. Completely separate from his job and family. A sort of guilty pleasure hobby that he didn't spend much time on, but enough to uncover an entry point to an undiscovered coding system. A sort of gateway into the fascinating world of cryptomagic. The philosophy behind cryptocurrency had the character of innovation. An alternative system to the clunky monetary system we were familiar with before the digital age knocked on our door. After a couple of decades of cryptocurrency, the time was ripe for renewal. The student from Seoul, now a professor named Pel Kaka, had an idea to renew the crypto system. He began to devote more and more time to the development of the system, which eventually came to be called Pelicoin. The difference between regular cryptocurrency and Pelicoin was significant. Pelicoin was not just a branch of the crypto tree. It grew as an independent tree, a framework of possibilities, until then unknown on this planet. Pelicoin existed in unlimited quantities, not in a precisely closed system with limitations like Bitcoin, etc. Pelecoin was both a virtual and material product. In a quantum sense, it was dependent on the observer. So, a Pelecoin was distinctly a phenomenon that represented superposition, where it appeared real if an observer was present. Not unlike Schrödinger's cat. But the observer had to have the code for the actual observation. And here came Pelkaker's idea as a refreshing storm in this environment. The path to the Pelecoin code wasn't solely based on complex mathematical calculations, but equally on insights into advanced music theory and, not least, literature and poetry. It was tonal art, word art, and semantics woven together with the mysteries of quantum mechanics. Naturally, only a few people on this planet could fully immerse themselves in this. As a result, there were no investors. Then Walter came into the picture.